Well, I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see. It looks something like this.
Here we go.
So exciting. No, well, we're starting actually with announcing the winner of our competition from the Morse code deciphering competition.
Yeah.
And that person sent me an email on Friday.
Yeah, and we'll announce it later on in the show, who that is.
Thank you. Because I was really worried you were going to say you're going to announce it now.
No.
And I need a bit more time.
Hey, we hope you guys have had a good weekend in lockdown. Did you have a good weekend in lockdown?
Yeah.
I had a great weekend in lockdown.
Always do.
Awesome.
I always do.
Good. That's awesome.
Actually, I'm going to share a story from it later.
Later.
Yes.
Yeah. You've been going in lockdown for a while now.
Long time.
What is this, week 9 or something?
Week 9.
So,
but I'm out. Like, Central Coast has changed, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Well, on Saturday night, my cousins and us organised a Friends Seen It. Have you ever played the game Seen It? It's like a trivia thing, but it's all about the show Friends. And we did a Zoom party, and it was like the longest Zoom I've ever been a part of. We went for 6 hours. It was awesome. We had a lot of fun, but it was a long time. We finished at midnight. I was like,
did you have fun?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually won, so it was fun. It was really cool. So we have a bunch of things coming up for our first week of worship online edition this morning, and now we're going to head to our first segment, which is our lockdown story.
Okay, well, basically, this was long ago at the very start of the Sydney lockdown. You know, there was certain suburbs that were starting to go into lockdown, and then just as the holidays started, you know, I was packing my car to get ready to go to the snow, and they announced that all of Greater Sydney would go into lockdown.
Yeah, that's
and my first thought was all my friends and colleagues that were stuck on the Central Coast who, you know, are included in that. And so that's when I messaged you. You know, I had all this other stuff going on, and I was like, oh, you know, I'll think of Josh Goss. He's got 2 young kids. You know, he might need a little help. And so I've got this Nintendo Switch, and I thought I'll go out of my way to drop it off at your house, you know, COVID safe and all, drop it on the driveway and then let you pick it up. And then I just heard there was no reply. And anyway, a couple of days later, I landed in the snow in Victoria, and I thought I'll send Josh a nice picture of the snow.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
I think even no response after that. And I was thinking, geez, this guy must really be struggling in lockdown. And then after the holidays, I came back and I saw you on the school grounds, and I said, oh, what's going on? You haven't been responding to my messages. And then you said, why would I respond to you if you're sending me pictures of the snow and I'm stuck in lockdown? And I said, mate, I offered to give you a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, mate, I've got the text here. I remember how it went. And yeah, you the way you're telling the story, you're an amazing guy. But from my perspective at the time, and it's only in hindsight, scrolling back through the text, that it works out you are a nice guy, is I'm totally missed that text, you know, busy guy, a lot of cryptocurrency stuff going on, checking the stock market and whatnot. And so I've missed your text that was offering to drop the Nintendo Switch off. But I thought that the first interaction was from me, and I was like, must be pumping, as in I was just checking how the surf was up in town, thinking of my colleague. Because it was good where I was like, boy, it must be good up in town. I'll text Maddie, see how the surf is. And then I get a text back, is just you drinking coffee at the snow. And instead of talking about the surf pumping, just pumping at Hotham this morning. And I was like, well, I'm not writing back to that. That is just nasty. He knows that I'm in lockdown. I can't go anywhere. And he's just rubbing it in my face. But you're right. You did offer the Nintendo Switch. So I miss that. So you're a bit of a hero. Lockdown hero, I guess they call you.
Yeah, I'm happy to take on that responsibility.
Yeah. Are you offering to any of the students of Macquarie College of dropping a Nintendo Switch off if they're getting a little bit tired of like measuring properties and whatnot?
Unfortunately, as long as Mr. Lowen's in lockdown, he's keeping his Switch.
Righto. So the end of this story is that if I want your Switch now, it's too late.
Yeah, and I think the moral of the story is, open your messages. Don't read the last thing that your friends say to you, because there might be more important stuff deeper into the message.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lowen, for that story. Very, very cool that he got to go to the snow. And what's the moral of that story, Josh?
Hey, he said it at the end. You didn't hear it. Everybody else has already heard it. Do we really do it again? The moral is to always read all the text. Yes. Don't just assume that the last thing your friend sent you is the thing they were trying to say. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he's a good bloke. Good on him. That's right.
Thank you so much for sharing that lockdown story with us. Remember, if you've got a lockdown story that you want to share with us, don't forget to email Gossy and you can do a Zoom chat just like you saw.
Oh, it'll be amazing.
All right,
we've got our winner from Chapel on Friday, Advath Kishore. I hope
Congrats,
I said it right.
Advath.
He's cracked the Morse code there, because Joe was talking about Morse code and communication and being close when we're apart.
Yep.
And he cracked the Morse code that I put into sectors, so I think he wins a Guzman Gomez voucher.
Yeah, a Guzman and Gomez voucher. We'll get it to you.
We'll either mail it out, or if you come back to school at some point in the distant future.
Yeah.
We'll
so good on you for cracking that code. Now we have today's word of the day and Miss Isabella Hines defining it. So here we go.
Hello everybody, my name is Isabella Hines, as some of you may know, and during Week of Worship I'm going to be giving you a definition and a story for a different word every day. So today's word is mischievous, and it means causing a bunch of trouble in a really playful way. And as some of you may know, I have a little brother and he just turned 3, and I believe he is the living definition of mischievous, right? Like this morning, he ran into my room with a giant bell that I didn't even know we owned at 6 a.m. and rung it until I woke up. And then just gave me the most adorable smile that I couldn't get mad at, no matter how hard I tried. And times like that make me mad at him. But then this morning he went off to school and I miss him a lot. It's a really big love-hate relationship with mischievous people. But if you have anyone mischievous in your life, let them know that you love them regardless. Bye.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Isabella, for that. Really cool. We have a guest speaker that will be speaking to us every day this week during our online week of worship, and his name is Pastor Robbie Morgan. He came to chapel in term 1, I think, earlier this year. So you may recognize his face. He is from California originally, and we will be really blessed to hear stories from him throughout this week.
Good morning. My name is Robbie, and I'm going to be sharing with you for Week of Worship this week, and I'm super stoked to have this time with you. The theme this week is Tell Me More, talking about stories, and I thought that I might start this morning by sharing a little bit of my own story and how I became a follower of Jesus. I grew up in Southern California and grew up on skateboards, grew up playing guitar and just having a lot of fun. When I was about 15 years old, my family moved, and so I went to my second high school, and then the next year I was 16, we moved again, and my family moved to Las Vegas. And so I was 16 years old and I just moved to Las Vegas. It's my third high school I was going to, and I had no friends. I didn't have any way to meet anybody because I was doing distance education, kind of like you are, except we didn't have any video conferencing calls. That technology wasn't really around yet. So I was pretty lonely and isolated. And in that space, kind of trying to deal with all of those problems, not having any friends, not having anyone to connect with, being stuck on the computer all the time, I kind of fell into addiction. I became really heavily addicted to pornography, and I struggled a lot with just trying to find identity and kind of deal with the depression that I was experiencing being so lonely and isolated. And that kind of progressed and got worse and worse for a period of 6 months, and it kind of really just brought me to a place where my life was totally out of control, and I just felt like I was a slave to these things I didn't want to be involved in anymore. I even tried to get help and was too afraid and ashamed to even ask for help because it would have exposed me. And I just remember one night while I was living in Las Vegas, I was online and I did some things with somebody that I'm really not proud of. And I just remember after that event, after that moment, I got to this place where just for the first time in my life, I felt totally alone, overwhelmed by guilt and shame of all of the things I'd done, not just in that point, but leading up to that point in my life, all of the terrible things I'd done to other people and the manipulation, the use of others. And I got to this point where I just felt total darkness. And it was that point in my life where for the first time I ever really honestly called out to God for help. And that night marked a turning point for me. I felt so naked, I felt so ashamed, so alone. But on that night, just in that dark room, I remember coming around to a place where I began a journey where I started to seek for God and to seek for Jesus. And by the grace of God, He was able to do a work in my life that changed the trajectory of my life forever. There's a Bible passage in 1 John 1 verse 9 that says, if we confess our sins or our wrongs, He, God, is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And from that day forward, God started to do a work in my life, and it didn't happen overnight. But I began to go on a journey where I experienced the peace that came with knowing I was forgiven for all of the wrongs that I had done, for all of the things that I felt guilty and ashamed of. God started to wash those things clean in my heart and in my mind. And I started to experience a peace I'd never known before. And by the grace of God, over time, He brought me free from the chains of those addictions. And it's just amazing, man, how much freer life became. And so I don't know about you, but if you've ever had a place in your life, or if you've got a place in your life right now where you're struggling and you've got shame, you've got guilt over things that you've done or things that were done to you, I want you to know that God is able to bring change in your life. He's able to bring forgiveness. He's able to heal us from shame, and He's able to set us free from the things that we become enslaved to. And so that's a little bit more of my story, and I'm excited to share with you a bit more about what God has done in my life and what He can do for you in your life this week. If you'd like to know a bit more about that, I just invite you to seek out for a bit more of that from a teacher, from someone else who's around who you can find out more, but to pray to God and ask for that forgiveness, because He promises He can heal and cleanse no matter what those things are in your life. He can fix them.
Thank you, Robbie.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. Thanks, Robbie.
All right, we know that period 1 is about to start, but we just wanted to send you off with the word for tomorrow because we got a bit of a comp, and there's $10 or is it $15 Guzman?
We're going to go with $15
vouchers.
Vouchers. So it's a good reason to jump on board with the comp.
Get yourself a burrito. So the word for tomorrow is regretful, just bouncing off the back of what Pastor Robbie was talking about. And is there a hashtag? What is it? Regretful selfies? What are we going to do?
Yeah, let's do regretful selfies.
Regretful selfies?
Yeah.
Send them in to me,
maybe
or
MC.
Put them on...
Maybe regretful selfies MC.
Maybe just regretful MC.
So hashtag regretful selfies, and put them on Instagram, and we will pick a winner, and tomorrow we'll announce who the winner is. So show us a photo of a regretful selfie.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you later.